Pat, we are farther from Dream Drop now than Dream Drop was from Kingdom Hearts 1 when it came out.
Oh, by a lot. Yeah.
That's
it's crazy. Yeah.
Shut up. So... I hate it when we do that.
Woo!
Good time. What a good hang.
That was good.
Yeah, that was
We could use the Doubtfire as the epilogue this time, I realized.
Oh. Yeah.
Unless it's like super cohesive with what we were talking about, but I kind of doubt it.
Well, if we do that, then what is our cold open going to be?
I have no idea. It could be this.
I don't know if
it's
I like
a
that.
fucky-wucky Dream Drop time travel aspect.
Oh my god, we didn't even talk about time travel. Can you imagine?
No, we didn't talk about any of like the late game shit.
Oh, well, just for the record, I hate time travel. Just want to put that out there.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Jesus Christ.
We could call forward to the fact there's going to be a Doubtfire epilogue. And then it ends with, the cold open ends with, what's our cold open going to be?
Ew. Welcome to No Sad Face, the toxically positive Kingdom Hearts fan podcast, with me, your host, PJ from Cabletown, with my co-host, regular Pat. You know, funny thing about Pat and I, we actually did not meet in Reno, technically. No. We reconnected there, and then we realized after, a couple of rounds that we had previously met before on the set of the Goonies. But yeah, they recast us because we weren't born yet. So, yeah. Although that is where we met Sean Astin, and long story short,
how we booked him the gig for Hercules.
Well, long story short, he owes me $5. That's actually where the blood feud comes from. But
right.
We
That's
don't
why
have
you're
to get
so
into
angry.
That. So yeah, hey Pat, how's it going?
It's going. We are probably, this is the closest we've cut it in terms of recording an episode. We've kind of been doing these pretty in bulk ahead of time, but
I know.
We are a week out from the coded episode being posted. So poor David, you know.
And a week out from this episode being posted. Well, we might not even do a second season. We don't know.
That's true. We might get canceled.
Speaking of canceled, a lot of strange things have happened in the 2 weeks since we recorded the coded episode.
Was Missing Link canceled after that?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
We talked about it on
we
stream.
talked about it on stream, and then I put a video on the main channel, yeah.
Yeah. We haven't really covered news on this podcast because that's not what this is for.
Right.
But also there hasn't been any.
We're covering olds until there is news.
Yeah, I guess so. It's a pretty important moment in the fandom, but also it's actually relevant to what we're going to be talking about today.
Games that should have been canceled, like Dream Drop Distance.
Oh no. Should this have been our Coliseum episode?
No. I can behave for this one.
Okay. I think it was like a couple of days after we finished recording the coded Coliseum. I was just chilling. It was late at night, and there it was, the development letter from the Kingdom Hearts team saying, "Hey, Missing Link has been canceled."
Yeah,
and I
tagged notifications start lighting up.
I tagged the Discord, and I was like, "Everybody, come here!" That was like one of the weirdest 24 hours of my life in this fandom, and I have seen some shit because the next day, Square Enix posted a collage of never-before-seen screenshots for Kingdom Hearts 4.
And my girlfriend saw them before I did, and she continues to hold that over me, that she got news before me. It's like, I wasn't on Twitter for 1 minute, and now I got beat to the punch on this.
Did she just come and go, "Hey, guess what? You're never going to believe
it."
We
were laying in bed, she's like, and she starts reading the post, and I was like, okay, here we go.
I was in Discord. We were watching something. Oh, Survivor. We were watching Survivor. And since then, there have been a lot of whispers, a lot of rumblings. We are a week out from Summer Games Fest, and Square Enix was confirmed this week to be a partner at this year's event, and they will be there with information about different games.
And all the Kingdom Hearts fans say, let's put our clown makeup on, which I think they should put their mime makeup on because they all make the same fucking joke as each other.
Well, they do that with every joke.
Yeah. This is the first one in a while that I'm like, okay, maybe, because there's actually smoke this time. There's no smoke for like the last however many SGFs.
I have always been like, let people have their hope, but I don't think it's happening for like the past couple of years.
It's something in the air this week. I don't really know.
Something's in the air.
Now, will this episode go out before Summer Game Fest?
No, it'll come out the day after.
Ooh. So that's
we will
interesting.
See. The fest will actually be happening as this episode goes up.
Okay.
But the main day, Friday, will be the day before.
Okay.
But I feel good about it. I think, if it doesn't show up next week, I'll have David edit 2 versions of this one where we're talking about it and when we're not.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, whatever, hope springs eternal too. But the reason why it's relevant actually is we're talking about Dream Drop Distance on today's episode.
Yes.
Released in 2012, March 2012 in Japan, and July in the rest of the world for the 3DS Dream Drop Distance.
And that is bizarre, right? Are there any other summer releases? And am I just missing one? Like, I feel like that is the summer game.
I think that's it.
It's weird.
Maybe one of the re-releases, maybe a final mix
maybe.
or a remix. I don't think so, though.
Is there any, like, I don't know. It just seems weird. Like, I feel like it's usually spring or fall to winter.
Yeah, it is a weird one. It was released for Kingdom Hearts' 10th anniversary in March of 2012 in Japan, and then a relatively quick turnaround time in terms of localization. I think what's also funnier about it is that Europe got it before America did.
Oh, yeah. That is weird.
A little bit of revenge for...
Yeah, they deserved it.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course, it was Dream Drop is the one that they got.
I mean, it was like a week of a difference, so...
Yeah.
When Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep finished its development and released in 2010, the Nintendo 3DS was like emerging on the scene, and it was what everyone was talking about. The DS was a massively successful system, and so having a DS that was like a little bit more console-like in terms of what it could do, as well as the 3D gimmick, it had a lot of people excited, and a lot of people were kind of talking about it. And off the back of Birth by Sleep, people were asking Nomura, like, hey, Coded is out, Days is out, Birth by Sleep is out, what happens next? Is Kingdom Hearts 3 the next game? And Nomura said, no, bitch. It's not coming out.
Still no.
We're not working on it. But there is a mystery game. We are working on a mystery game that's very unusual. The producers, when I told them about it, were like, what? That summer, when the 3DS was, hopping onto the scene and making its appearances, there was a tech demo at E3 that was just called Kingdom Hearts 3D. And the tech demo was a trailer, I believe it was shown, behind closed doors because this original version didn't really make it to the public. That was kind of a beta version of the earliest Kingdom Hearts 3D. And people were like, is this a remake for the 3DS? Like, what is this? And Square Enix was pretty tight-lipped about it for a while, but it was known that they were making a 3D Kingdom Hearts game. So when 3D was formally re-revealed in 2011 for the 3DS as Dream Drop Distance, Nomura went out of his way to show, actually, this is a different game. This is not a remake of Kingdom Hearts 1. This is a whole new experience.
Which, like, it might seem silly to think, like, oh, people thought they were going to remake KH1, like, I mean, I guess it would have been, 8 years after the first game. But, like, they remade a lot of stuff on 3DS, like, the one I always think of is Rayman 2, which they port to every console.
Yeah.
They literally just called it Rayman 3D.
Yeah.
So when you see Kingdom Hearts 3D and that's it, like, and you know that the 3D is the gimmick of this console, it would, lead you to believe, oh, it's just going to be... Yeah.
So yeah, when the game came out, when the game was announced, rather, and people were like, oh, so this is, it's different, it's unusual. Is this the mystery game? And Nomura was like, oh, no, this is not the mystery game. We're not working on that anymore.
Right, that's done.
We are doing this in favor of doing the mystery game. That was, technically speaking, the first Kingdom Hearts game that got canceled that we know of.
Right.
And
yeah,
like
people bring up Missing Link as like, oh, this is the first time. I mean, it's the biggest for sure because we had the most information. People were playing the game, like the game was basically done. But there is a little bit of precedence there.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, you might as well consider Missing Link to be the only one because of how far along it got and how in the public consciousness it was and how it was formally announced. Unlike the mystery game,
right?
A lot of people, a lot of people also assume that the mystery game was going to be Birth by Sleep Volume 2.
Which is not much of a mystery considering like the game basically had a trailer at the end of BBS Final Mix.
Yeah, there is a lot of evidence that suggests that. A good idea never dies. There are plenty of instances of scrapped things, including Volume 2, but scrapped things in the Kingdom Hearts games that end up working their way back into the series at some point.
For sure.
And that was kind of the point that I was trying to make on your stream. I don't think I made it well. What I'm saying is that given time, when they are in a more stable place, I could see that idea being repurposed in the same way.
It's not going to be one for one.
Right. In the same way that Birth by Sleep Volume 2 had part of it repurposed as 0.2. That's what I was saying.
And like Nomura is basically like you're not familiar with Metal Gear Solid, but like he's punished Nomura at this point. Like he has the eye patch on, he's grizzled. They took away, versus 13 from him, and he's finding ways to work that into Kingdom Hearts. So like you bet your ass he's going to figure out how to get Missing Link ship back into the fold here. So I wouldn't be too worried that like this is all for naught and it's all gone. It's not going to be the way that it was originally intended, and that is a shame, and we should, have regrets about how that went down. But, I can rest assured, like, we're going to see elements at least to work its way into whether 4 or other stuff.
So, yeah, the game got canceled. Dream Drop has been, announced formally.
Stood on the grave of the old canceled game.
The quickest development for a game in the Kingdom Hearts series. A 2-year turnaround time.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And I remember being like, oh, wow. This is the new precedent for Kingdom Hearts games, right? More on that later. But that was a great time to be a Kingdom Hearts fan because you just knew there was always more stuff happening, more stuff in the pipeline. And at that point, for me, I had kind of made my peace with the idea that like we have such a massive output of things happening that if I don't like a game in the series as well as another one, like it's okay because I got the games that resonated with me. Let other people have things that cover their interests more. And down the road, there will be other games, I don't have creative control over it. I'm along for the ride. And if I tie these games to my expectations, I will be disappointed. Which,
always,
to be honest, I think the vast majority of Kingdom Hearts fans should take that stance.
I agree.
Especially after 3.
To echo back to the Coded episode, as much as I don't care for that game, and like Dream Drop is not my favorite. I still have it above Coded, but like as a series, I still think the batting average for Kingdom Hearts is like incredibly strong.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, like there's games that like I'm not gonna pick up and play on their own, like if I wasn't like rabidly dedicated to the franchise. But like at worst, like in reality, Coded is like for me at worst like a 5 out of 10. That's as bad as it gets for me. Like that's crazy. Yeah. It's a really good average.
We love Kingdom Hearts. When we go into the negative, a lot of times it is hyperbolic because we are putting on a show. It is not insincere, but
correct.
Played
up for comedy.
We know what makes a good show and what makes a bad show, and we want to make a bad show, so we crank it up. The premise of the show is not to actually be 100% positive, because Pat and I are inherently fussy little gooses, and so the original conceit of the show was let's try and talk nice about Kingdom Hearts, but it's tongue in cheek because we cannot help ourselves but skew into the negative. And I think that for, with the way that we framed it, internet is not always clear in terms of like intent. There are people that, don't know us very well and they don't know that. The show is not really supposed to be taken seriously, and we're having fun and we don't have to tie ourselves to our own conceits. It's more there to give us some kind of structure to talk about the game.
Yeah, like we're not legally bound. Like there's no Ursula contract that forces us to hold our tongue whenever we want to say something, a bit nitpicky about Dream Drop Distance. Like if we're bound by that, then you're not going to get the most sincere version of our thoughts on the games. Yeah. But like PJ said, the structure lends itself well to a, constructive conversation. But to like, stick our heads in the sand and like never give our true thoughts on something outside of that 1 minute at the end, which the 1 minute is supposed to be like fireworks grand finale. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah, that is, I think, the most hyperbolic that we get is the 1 minute. And that also goes for if we don't talk about your favorite thing about the series. A lot of things in Kingdom Hearts, I think you'll agree, are just, cool things that we like that really aren't, they're not going to be the pinnacle of our discussion. And it also leaves you guys room to talk about what you like if you ever feel like leaving a comment.
Right, and that also bridges to we have the email open now, so you can send stuff in.
If you have questions, if you have things that you want us to talk about, send us an email, nosadfacepodcast.
Or just a funny little story you want to share.
@gmail.com. Oh, that's fun. Little anecdotes. It would be fun. It would be fun to hear like your stories as well.
So like one of those per episode could be fun just to like see, if something especially nostalgic or memorable was happening with you.
Speaking of which, before we get into where we were when 3D came out, I realized that we never talked about what our origin story was with Kingdom Hearts in the first episode.
We didn't?
No.
That's crazy. Because I feel like I've talked about it like in so many different venues at this point. Well, as I just assumed that we got to it.
That's why we probably never covered it, because it's like
that's probably.
And our stories are actually very similar, if I recall correctly. But yeah, do you for the
Yeah, I mean,
folks at home?
sure, yeah, nothing crazy for me. I mean, it was how I found out about, how anyone found out about games back then was by seeing commercials on TV.
Hmm.
It was 2002, and I remember, I think I was in my living room, like probably literally playing with toys because, I was 6 or 5 even at that point, if it was before October of that year. And I saw the commercial. I heard Simple and Clean, a song unlike anything I had heard in my short 5 to 6 years. And I see all these Disney characters, which, I mean, in retrospect, I had probably only been familiar with them for like a maximum of 3 years at that point, but I was entranced.
Half of your life.
Right, exactly. That was a huge chunk of my life was these Disney characters. So, I see Cerberus, I see probably Peter Pan. I mean, I was familiar with all these movies. I probably had watched them for the first time within the last like 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I got to get that. And I actually don't remember if I got it at release or not. I don't even know if I had a copy of it because I played it with my cousins and my parents, my aunts and uncles were around. Like, I don't know who owned that first copy, but I was there, with the crew, with the fam, playing through Destiny Islands at the age of 6. So
Aw, a family
yeah,
affair.
yeah, it was.
Well, speaking of families and affairs, I had a very similar situation in terms of finding out about it. The exact same thing, that commercial.
Mm.
And I was a big Disney kid, and I was like 11 or 12, I think, when it first came out. But the problem was that we did not have a PlayStation 2.
Mm.
And so I was like, okay, well, fuck me, I guess. But then luckily, my mom cheated on my dad, and they got a divorce.
I can't believe that you did the family affairs segue.
I have to. Okay?
If we don't win a Million Dreams Award for that alone, I'm fucking setting a building on fire.
My mom was my favorite person and the most important person in my life, but she was very clear about the fact that she was a cheater, and God rest her soul, she's not here. So
she would have loved Easy Codes.
I mean, I've talked about in the past though that my parents were gamers, and as soon as they got divorced and my dad moved into an apartment complex, he got a PlayStation 2. So when Dad got a PS2 and I started going over there on the weekends, I was like, oh my God, I can play Kingdom Hearts. So I rented Kingdom Hearts. And maybe I talked about this in the episode, I don't remember, but I was bad at video games. I had never actually played like a real game before. Like, it was all movie tie-in shit.
Yeah.
This feels familiar. Maybe we did talk a bit more.
Okay, for the record, and this is not familiar to me whatsoever in the context of the podcast or our friendship. I did not know the affair story, and if I did, it was in passing.
Oh yeah, I probably never told you this because who cares? But it's you set me up with that segue, so it's very funny.
No, it's fascinating. I love it.
So yeah, I would go over on the weekends and I would play. It took me 9 months to beat the game because of how bad I was, and because I only had like a day to play.
Right.
And I would get frustrated and walk away. And I was a kid, I wasn't really paying attention to like the menus and like all of the different abilities and stuff.
Were you one of those kids that didn't know you could like change Kingdom Key to Jungle King and you were just rocking Kingdom Key?
I was very into changing the Keyblades.
Oh, good.
But like I didn't really I didn't get tech points, I didn't get blocking. I didn't really, it was all a lot.
Some people still don't.
That is true.
It's tough for me sometimes to remember that there's a square button.
I didn't want to say it, but I was thinking about you when I
get tunnel vision,
So that happened, and I just fell in love with the series, and I loved it so much that they got me a PlayStation 2 in my own copy, and it has been
all downhill ever since.
Yeah. And I have remained faithful, unlike my parents. So what can you do?
Right, yeah. Yep. So we're breaking the cycle generationally.
Oh,
showing some loyalty here.
For sure. Fun fact: my sister got divorced this week, so it's like I'm not including that. That's not going.
Yeah, that's fair.
Maybe it will. I'll ask her. Oh.
Yeah, can we talk about your recent fresh divorce on our Kingdom Hearts podcast?
She's living it up. She thinks it's funny, so maybe she wouldn't care. So
Kingdom Hearts fragmented marriage.
Oh my God, fragmented marriages.
Yeah.
So Dream Drop, funny story as well. I remember airing my grievances about the Kingdom Hearts games repeatedly coming out when school started, and remembering being like really excited about Dream Drop coming out over the summer. But I just remembered I was taking summer classes when Dream Drop came out.
Why?
Because I was in college and I wanted to take summer classes.
I thought you were in high school and you flunked something.
No, it was my senior year of college. I took logic and probability, which I don't know if you know this or not, Pat. I am a hyper logical person, and I fucking crushed that class.
Nice.
I loved it. So I think I wasn't thinking about it in terms of being school.
Right. Just kind of like a thing that you do, a chore.
Yeah. It was the summer before my senior year, and
Okay, gotcha.
I was just living it up. I was the king of logic, and I had a 3DS, and I was big pimping.
Yeah.
2012.
I think I was 2012 probably puts me the summer between freshman and sophomore year of high school.
It's a good year.
I was, thought the world was going to end. It didn't. And I was like, well,
all right,
I guess I'll keep going.
Little do you know, that was the best of times.
It was the best of times. It was so quaint. I think I sort of referenced this an episode or two ago, but like I have very faint memories of playing Dream Drop, which is so bizarre because to me, it's still like a new game, which is so silly because what has it been now?
10 years. Well, 12.
But I just have like very hazy, like I know I remember playing it in my room, but like how I felt at the time, like what else was going on in my life, no clue.
Well, do you want to talk about Dream Drop?
Yeah, I can't remember because it's been a while since we did a traditional episode. Who went first? It's been a couple of weeks since BBS.
Who cares?
I think this is the first time where we have like decent odds of having the same thing brought to class. Because I feel like we both have an appreciation for this aspect of the game.
You can take it, actually.
Okay.
Do you want to do timing, or do you want me to do the timer?
Sure, I'll do timer. Let's see here.
Also, give it up to David for the coded episode, by the way. That was...
Yes. Oh, my God. I loved the editing that he did on that. Thankfully, this is going to be much more by the book, so less bells and whistles.
Mm-hmm. Also, give it up to Esper
amazing.
for the new armor and keyblade.
And do you want to put on the record now what your stuff is a reference to?
Right. Okay, so my armor, a lot of people actually clocked this, is TikTok from the Disney movie Return to Oz.
Mm-hmm.
And my keyblade, a lot of people, nobody knows this, but the reason why I'm called Cabletown is because before I met Requiem, I had another podcast called Cabletown where I just talked to my friends about their experiences with Kingdom Hearts. And the logo of that was me with this particular keyblade that's in the shot. And if you look at it, it's just podcast equipment. Like it's like a pop filter and a headphone and like a mic stand. So it's called White Noise.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's what the podcast is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have a huge hyperfixation with Wizard of Oz, but that's another podcast.
It is another podcast.
And Pat has Goofy's armor. And his signature keyblade.
My keyblade comes from a viewer who modded it into KH3. Lucius Sphere, I believe, is their name on Nexus. Mm-hmm. It's a reference to me playing KH1 using my feet. So it's Sora's leg with the sandal and Jabib and all of that. So
yeah.
Shout out to all the artists involved there.
Right. My keyblade was designed by Chandler Candela. So, all right.
Hell yeah. All right, I'll start timer.
Go for it.
So we've referenced this a little bit in our discussion up to this point, but Dream Drop is the 10-year anniversary of Kingdom Hearts, and for all the qualms I have with the game, I do think it has a very distinct and lively and fun atmosphere, and I really think it is reflective of this feeling of like a birthday party for Kingdom Hearts. Is this what you brought?
God, it was.
I knew it. No
way! I thought you were going to talk about like the Disney stuff or something. Oh wow.
So, do you want to just like take this on like jointedly,
just do a 20-minute love fest?
Yeah, I mean, because it's all really cool. I mean, I'm sure we have similar points that we want to bring to this.
If it doesn't work out, then there's more stuff to like. We can shove it in.
Yeah, like I could just talk about Traverse Town or Symphony of Sorcery. I mean, they're both
let's just do it.
Top tier worlds.
Let's just talk about it.
Yeah, fuck it. So like I think Traverse Town especially is where this gets brought out. I always talk about, and I feel like I'm potentially retreading old ground because I've actually talked about Dream Drop a lot on the channel, like more than I would have expected to by this point. But like those 4th and 5th districts especially, it just feels like there's like this constant air of festivity. Like things are just being set up for a party. You have like these big neon lights and balloons. Balloon being like a fixture in the combat of this game. Like I don't know if that's like coincidental or if it's like a nod to like, hey, it's Kingdom Hearts' 10-year birthday. So I think there's that. Just like even Flick Rush, it just feels like we brought all of these like balloon animals to a party. Like a clown brought all this shit here, and it's just like we're just throwing everything out on the table, stringing up the lights. It just makes me feel kind of warm and fuzzy.
Yeah. Okay, well, we've got 19 more minutes.
No, I didn't mean like that was the end of it. I was just giving you an off ramp to.
Well, I absolutely agree with you. I think Dream Drop is the perfect 10-year celebration of the legacy of Kingdom Hearts up to that point.
Mm-hmm.
You go to Traverse Town and it's immediately familiar and it's warm. You start off on the Destiny Islands, but like it's respectful, but it's different.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, everybody's invited to the party. Whether or not they come is not, none of my concern.
Yeah, Final Fantasy people didn't get the invites, but the Tui kids did.
They were going to. Ultimania, originally Leon's gang was going to be in Traverse Town again, but they were like, that's boring. We've done that literally 3 times now. So the World Ends With You characters was, a really good kind of supplement in that.
And actually, kind of a neat thing is that, so Dream Drop is 2012, Tui is 2007, so there's a 5-year gap there. And you go back to KH1, it's mostly populated by FF7 characters, save for Leon, but there's also a 5-year gap between FF7 and KH1. So it's kind of like, okay, here's the new kids on the block each time around. I think that's kind of neat. Kind of some parallels there.
Huh. I love Tui. I mean,
I have only played a little bit of it on the Switch, but I would like to get back to it.
Inferior.
I heard that the DS version is the way to go.
Yeah, it's great. I love Neo Tui. I think some people don't like it. I really love Neo Tui. But talking about Dream Drop in particular, yes, I think that all of that was very intentional. I think the balloon animal thing was not something that I had considered before. But I do think it's intentional given how Meow Wow in particular is associated with being a balloon.
Right, yeah.
And he does kind of have those balloony proportions.
Yeah.
I also think it's neat that the Dream Eaters are like, they're stuffed animals. Like, this is a slumber party. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're protecting you from nightmares. I think that's also very cute. That's what it is. Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance is a slumber party birthday party for Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's a cake. There's like a little table and a cake at the end with party hats.
Oh, yeah, you're right. And Sora's got the Groucho Marx glasses, yeah.
Yeah, I never really thought about that being a double entendre for it being a birthday celebration.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of nods here and there, yeah.
Yeah, and it's also Sora's birthday. So that's a fun time.
Oh, right, because Nomura says that Sora's birthday is the release day of KH1, yeah. Yep. And so I guess Riku, Kairi, and some SOG, it's also their birthday as well.
I mean, that feels right. That feels like
that's fair.
The very Kingdom Hearts thing is that everybody just kind of came into existence on the same day.
Right. What a coincidence.
Another interesting thing about that, of course, is that the new outfits are not. They are because of the 10th anniversary, and also they're not. They're new outfits because it's a new game, but Nomura specifically designed them so that people would immediately know that it's not a remake.
Right. Yeah, that's a good call, actually, considering there was, hesitation or thoughts about that at the beginning of the release cycle.
Yeah, and everybody kind of shows up for it. I think he didn't have to include all of like the main characters in the way that he did. But the fact that everybody's there and it's just a fun and warm kind of celebration. I think that what's also interesting about it is that even though the worlds are mostly new, it does kind of harken back to the original design philosophy with the original Kingdom Hearts and how they chose the Disney worlds, where it was a mix of old and new. There aren't as many, which is kind of a bummer.
Right.
But still, like you have the second oldest Disney movie, Pinocchio, and then at that point you had like one of the newest, Tron.
Tron Legacy was only 2 years old at that point.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Is that the quickest turnaround? I feel like the closest other ones would be Tarzan and Pirates 1.
Yeah,
I think they're all like maybe tied at 2 years-ish.
Yeah, which is nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't do video game tie-ins anymore for that reason. And like, they wandered into the photorealism with that. And it's still kind of candy colored, but it was a fun time.
And,
Um,
to talk about the world selection and it being like a mix of old and new, for the most part, even if the world itself is a new location, everything but Hunchback has a tie to something that you've seen before in the series. So there's like a real air of familiarity as well, even if it is a new environment, because the grid calls back the Tron stuff. Obviously, Prankster's Paradise back to Monstro, Symphony of Sorcery to, when we fought Chernobog and End of the World, and just having Mickey there, obviously. Same thing with Country of the Musketeers, MDG are there. World It Never Was, Traverse Town. So it's all very, reflective of the series, but often like in a new coat of paint, which I think is, again, not my favorite game, but it is a neat and cozy atmosphere that it has throughout.
Not my favorite game, and the properties themselves I'm not particularly super fond of.
Right, me
but
either.
I think as a cohesive choice, like as just like a fun, weird game, which is what Dream Drop is, it was good. It's a good kind of mix. It's a good kind of environment. People had really wanted Hunchback for a long time. Like Hunchback, Treasure Planet, Atlantis, those were kind of like the lost three for a really long time.
Don't forget Jungle Book, PJ.
I am going to forget Jungle Book because God knows Nomura did.
Yeah.
God, we can get into that later. But I think kind of sad on Treasure Planet and Atlantis's part, though, because they are beautiful movies that have wild aesthetics, and they would both lead themselves to really fun gameplay mechanics. But we kind of have proof that both of them had been cut at various points over the series. Atlantis was supposed to be in the early days. I think there's an interview that says it was supposed to be in one.
Wow, I was not familiar with that. I know about Treasure Planet getting cut from Dream Drop because we have like a model of the ship.
Yeah, they found the ship in Dream Drop. But I think they cut Atlantis from the first game.
Wow.
Because they wanted to include the hovercrafts and they couldn't get it figured out.
And this is also a dumb reason, but I think like Atlantis and Atlantica in the same game is, it muddies the branding.
It's probably another reason why I didn't go. Yeah. Because between Little Mermaid and Atlantis, you're going to pick Little Mermaid.
Right.
Or at least they're going to. I know that a lot
I'd pick it too. Let's be real.
I think Atlantis is cool. I think it would be fun to play there, but like, pardon the pun, but like we missed the boat.
Yeah, I think so too. I've talked about this in a video before, but Treasure Planet came out the same year that KH1 did. So there was 10 years between that movie and Dream Drop, and we are more than 20 years out from Treasure Planet. And it's just not in that era. That hoverboard.
Yeah, Atlantis and Treasure Planet. I think we're, unless they go back to doing double games
like Dream Drop.
Or God forbid another mobile experience.
Yeah.
I think that we've kind of missed the boat on that one. But talking about happy things, I think it's also interesting that they did the straight to DVD thing for Three Musketeers, which is a fun movie.
I watched it only after I had played Dream Drop. But it is, to its credit, pretty funny. Like there were some fun visual gags and like dialogue moments in that movie.
Yeah, it's really interesting that they, a legacy of Mickey things, and that's what they picked. But Mickey has never had a theatrical film.
Yeah, besides like being in Fantasia for a bit of it, there's never been like a Mickey-led movie, which is crazy.
Yeah.
He's confined to the shorts and to the other, paratext stuff.
Yeah. But in a way, like Dream Drop really is kind of like Mickey's game, in terms of like where he is the most present and active from the very beginning.
Yeah.
With the opening, and oh my God, the opening.
Oh yeah, I wanted to bring that up too because like the storybook aesthetic, like let me tell you a tale about 10 years ago when this journey all started, and it's like it's building up. Is it not the first? I guess KH2 did like, hey, let's kind of soft recap KH1 and Calm, but Dream Drop like really takes you through the motions and even takes you beyond Dream Drop and shows you like basically what KH3 is going to look like, not down to like the character and like how exactly they look and what weapon they're wielding, but basically shows you like the squad, facing off against Xehanort at the end of that intro, which I always thought was wild.
Yeah, and the people that they picked for that, like I don't know, it was a nice kind of like soft promise of like, hey, these characters are coming back, which people missed the memo on again and again and again and again,
and still do.
But it's really beautiful. It looks great on a 3DS. I kind of hate that you have to deal with all of the credits without turning them off. How that kind of clutters the screen. Not a fan of that.
Because Oh, and the Mickey version on the 3DS, you lose that on the remix, but he's kind of down there doing Fantasia stuff.
Yeah.
It's really cute.
Yeah, it's really cute.
It's just very
And
magical. Like again, I'm actually finding myself appreciating the game more and more as we talk about it, because it is like unhazing those feelings I had about it at the time that I played it as a lad, and it makes you feel kind of good. Like that opening, or the orchestral simple and clean Mickey doing his fuck shit.
yeah.
It's just, oh man,
When
it's
Mickey
so nice.
sees Master Xehanort and looks up from the bottom screen and is like, nope, and then jumps
Yeah.
into the top one. Oh,
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, it's so good.
it's so great. I also like your bitch loves a pop-up book. I love the paper cut aesthetic.
Yeah.
I loved all of that.
Yeah.
I really wanted next year's March Caprice to be pop-up or paper cut. It's not, but I that was what I originally wanted for it.
Yeah.
God, it's so great. A fun thing about that opening, I don't know if you know this or not, but there was a 10th anniversary event that occurred in Japan where they showed basically, I think it was the launch trailer. And it was at this event. I forget what it's called. Oh my God, I can't believe I didn't prepare for this. But essentially, the theater was kind of like, it had a really interesting facade. The event was really cute. People were there, and they showed the trailer, but the trailer was projection mapped onto the facade of this location. So the characters were like bobbing and weaving around the actual architecture of the building.
That's so cool.
I believe there's still a video of it. It was really, really cool. And I
never even heard of it. So,
oh my God, it was so great. I think that when Land of Departure comes back in 3 was inspired by that, because the way that worked was so cool and interesting. Like it was kind of an iconic moment for like old Kingdom Hearts fans. It was also really cute. The trailer had like everybody's reactions to it. As well as like showing the footage kind of interspersed with it, and people were like screaming for Shion.
I love that.
And there was
that's so good.
There was a little kid that was there with his dad, and I think the trailer ended with the kid walking by, and the kid had a paper keyblade in his hand that they had like made.
Yeah,
like it was like a roll of paper that had like been like folded origami style into like a tube.
Yeah.
It was like a little paper kingdom key. And it was just the sweetest, cutest little thing. And it's like, that's what Kingdom Hearts is. Kingdom Hearts is that exact feeling right there. And Dream Drop really encapsulates it. Like, it's not my favorite. I'm kind of like you. Like, it's actually kind of down on my list. But in terms of being like a fun party that you just kind of can celebrate, like, it really is balls to the walls. Like, let's just do it. Let's just make the craziest Kingdom game possible. And I like that.
Turn your brain off, get drunk on Drop Me Nots, and just fucking go to town. Run around, like we're literally bouncing off the walls. When your mom and your dad would say like, "Oh, they got too much sugar, they're bouncing off the walls." That's what's going on. We're drinking fucking liters of Coke at the roller rink, and we're just flow motioning all over.
This is going to eat into our time a little bit. But I was not a hyper kid.
I'm playing it up a bit. I was rather reserved unless it was like a special occasion.
When I left my room, that's what my parents would say is like, why are you here? Why are you not in your bedroom? Like, what happened?
Right.
What's going on?
Oh, look who decided to join us.
Oh my
God. I'm going back.
Now
I'm going back because you've drawn attention to it.
Yeah. And they're like, why don't you ever come out of your room? It's like, because you make a
whole fucking Dream Drop distance celebration out of it, bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, my bedroom was on the second floor at the top of the flight of stairs, and I would jump from my room down to the landing, and I would gracefully glide down. Like when you dropped. What the fuck? Okay, anyway.
That's your drop. Yeah, that's your dive.
For sure. That's my dream. That's my drop. That's my, what is it now? Distance. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Also, the dives also feel very, like, just celebratory. Like, the way the music kicks in, Sora does his little fist pump, and I don't know. You got like all these decorations floating around for each dive. It's themed to the world, which is something that the Gummy routes never quite did. A little bit here and there in 2, and there's like elements floating around in 3. But I always liked how the dives were themed, and they also just felt very festive and fun.
Yeah, it's a fun time. I love the dive. mechanic, which
Yeah.
honestly, the more that I'm talking about it, the more that I'm like, is this a superior version of Dream Drop 3DS version? Because it makes use of the 3D system. Like the whole reason why the drop mechanic exists in the first place is because of playing with the 3D of the 3DS.
Yeah.
And I think, did you ever get motion sickness from those? Because I know that like for some people it gives them headaches and stuff.
It didn't like it was kind of hit or miss. I would often play with the 3D off. I don't know. It kind of fucked with my eyes a bit. It wasn't like it hurt, but it just like I felt like I played worse, you know? I just wanted to like cut the bullshit and just, you know, see what I needed to see and not have the illusion. So that was my stance.
Yeah, you know, looking back on it, I actually don't remember if I ever had it on or if I kept it on. You know what I mean? Like, I guess the gimmick
Right.
is interesting when it's interesting and then it never matters again.
Right. I mean, I would turn it on just to see how things looked. Like I would, you know, okay, let's see how the dive looks. All right, I got it now. Let's put it back to 2D.
Yeah, I think it helps with the dive because something I've noticed when playing it on the TV is that, like, depth perception is a little weird.
Yeah. I could see that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But also kind of leaning into the carnival bit, like, they really played up the Pinocchio world. Like, they really played up Prankster's Paradise, the theme park aspect of it. Which I think was intentional because of the celebration.
Yeah, I agree. I love what they did with Prankster's Paradise. I like that Riku still gets to go to the Monstro half, which makes sense that, you know, for his character to kind of re-explore his sort of like moral event horizon that occurred there in KH1 with kidnapping Pinocchio.
Right, another revisiting of
Yeah.
the game, but like in a way that's not like rehashy, you know?
Right. It didn't, and that's the thing. Like, you know, for as much as I like Calm and as much as I don't like Coded, both games like really go into the rehash angle. And Dream Drop, you know, to harken back to an older point that we've already made, like it found a way to keep things familiar but fresh at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
To revisit old things and old plot threads and old characters and world spaces, but to not feel like, all right, we're opening another floor and oh look, it's Atlantica again, but this time, you know, we don't have cool designs, or now we're doing Neverland and it's just the same brown boxes again. Like it was fresh.
Yeah, and the characters getting their own designs in the Tron world also another fun thing. Shout out to Kingdom Hearts 2, but you know, it's just so cute. It's so cute. And I think that in terms of revisiting those plot threads, like you said, the stuff that tied back into the original game still felt fresh, you know? Like, yes, we've done Monstro before, but even the Monstro parts felt really new and nice. You know, we've had a little bit of Fantasia, but like giving context to that world was a lot of fun. I think that people really do talk about Symphony of Sorcery with a lot of respect with this game. And
I see it included as like a top 5 world. For some people, it's their absolute favorite of all time, even beating the original stuff.
Well, because
it kind of is an original world.
It is, and it's, you know, it's not. And I think that they executed a very abstract piece very thoughtfully and beautifully. And just the attention to detail with, like, you know, no battle sounds. It's all instrumentation.
And it is bizarre how, like, sometimes the worlds with Sora and Riku, they overlap, and sometimes they don't. Like, with Hunchback, it's pretty much the same thing. Right. Sora gets the Court of Miracles, and Riku gets, like, the windmill. It's like, oh, yeah, the iconic windmill from Hunchback of Notre Dame. Riku gets Monstro, Sora gets the amusement park in the ocean. That's good. But then, I mean, I guess Riku gets the backstage of Musketeers, and Sora gets, like, the rest of the movie, I guess. They both get very distinct Symphony of Sorcery parts.
It's kind of uneven, I guess, in that respect. But I will say, in terms of, again, re-examining the series as a whole, Dream Drop really did take a lot of what it had learned from the other games. Like, Dream Drop feels like a sequel to Birth by Sleep in a lot of ways, with the multiple narratives and playing perspectives. But I think it handles it in some ways better than Birth by Sleep.
Yeah, I think by virtue of not having 3 and just having 2 this time, but, you know, to your credit, what you said about the, you know, things not feeling as repetitive, I think they do a better job. Like, it doesn't feel like you're exploring the same beats. Yeah. There's no, like, like, as much as we like the Radiant Garden stuff and BBS, there's not, like, that moment where we're fighting Trinity Armor 3 times. So
with Dream Drop, like, they do hit the same beats, but 1, they're in parallel worlds, so there's, like, it's okay that there's no crossover, but 2, it still feels like they have very different modes.
Yeah.
And giving Sora his kind of link system, and then giving Riku his kind of form change, kind of dry form situation, is also a love letter to the past games.
H2 and BBS,
yeah. It's you know, it's great. The command deck comes back from Birth by Sleep and from Coded. This time, a little bit more refined. It's not as obnoxious with like the form changes that happened with the
You
command
get
deck
locked into.
in Birth by Sleep. It's not as intricate in terms of like behind the scenes as with Coded, but the linking ability with the Dream Eaters, I think, is inspired by that. And it's also just kind of neat to have these pets. It's fun, like getting to play with them is a lot of fun, and using the touch controls and stuff to like pet them and give them little snacks. And again, it's party
another
time.
Thing better suited for the 3DS version.
Well, the funny thing, it was inspired by Nintendogs.
Yeah, I remember Nomura talking about that in an interview, I think.
Yeah, and what I love about Tetsuya Nomura is where he's just like, yeah, I saw that, I liked it, and I took it. I did.
Right, yeah.
I love Les Mis, so let's add musical numbers.
Right. I respect it. It's like, let's just to show your sources, show your work,
and he will, and he does, and I think it is novel that again on a Nintendo system they were like, let's make a love letter to Pokemon and Nintendogs.
Yeah,
how about that? How far along are we on the timer?
We are 4 minutes over, so over the 20.
Over the 20?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I thought we were struggling.
No, we're there.
No, but just thinking about that celebration angle of it again, and thinking about like, God, this really is a love letter, and reality shift. Like we didn't even talk about that, but that's like a fun way of breaking things up. Flow motion was introduced in the series, which is huge. A huge.
And I'm
mechanic.
ready for my negative minute. I'm ready.
Okay, well, I guess then I'll just hand it over to you, Pat, for your negative 1 minute then.
Man,
this is great.
All right, you look at the worlds that they make in Dream Drop Distance. They're the best worlds since KH1 in terms of their sheer design. Like, really fun, vibrant stuff, cool little set pieces, like stuff to jump around on again. It feels like we're like actually in a physical space and not just in like this shoebox diorama of a Disney movie. And then I always come back to like, is it the chicken or the egg? Which was it? Like, what came first, the world design or like, hey, let's do this crazy thing called flow motion? I'm not saying it's not fun. I'm not saying I didn't love it the first time I played, but upon analysis, upon comparing it to the older games, comparing it to 3, just thinking about what could have been, I think it really is the game shooting itself in the foot. I think Dream Drop does that a lot, but I think there's no better example of it than flow motion. I think it works well in those early districts of Traverse Town just to show you how much more fantastical this world is and how much more skilled Sora is in this environment. But then once we get to these later worlds, like there's all these cool things, like all these treasure chests and neat locations that would have lent themselves so well to a KH1 or BBS style. And the fact that you can just run into a wall over and over to easily access whatever it is that's in your way is so crushing. What a bummer. A little bit over, but that's my take.
I think that it's a very novel thing that they made, and that anything that like can break up the monotony of like running from room to room, I think is a good thing. And I think that they refined that mechanic later on.
I think in KH3 it's done really well.
Yeah, and I think in 0.2, I think it's my favorite, if I'm being honest.
You got the ice slides there.
I don't really hate it as much, but I will say I can't forget the original trailer for Dream Drop, the beta trailer, the announcement trailer, whatever you want to call it, where they first show off flow motion, and Sora's in the 3rd district. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I believe so, yeah.
Sora's in the 3rd district, and he's hopping around from wall to wall, and he's just fucking taking names of the Heartless.
Yeah.
And then he jumps into the generator in the corner of the 3rd district that's always sparking, and he imbibes his Keyblade with thunder magic. And then he slams on the ground, and it's lightning everywhere. That is fucking cool.
Yeah. And that is, I don't know where it went.
Good rant.
So what do you hate?
Okay, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, go. Dream Drop Distance hates women.
Oh.
I think that there is a really bad lack of parity between the male cast and the female cast of Dream Drop Distance.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts, like, you can always open a Kingdom Hearts game and, one of their main selling points is like 100 Disney characters. This is happening, that's happening, whatever.
And 2 of them are women.
I'm not joking. Dream Drop, I believe, has 12 women who speak in the cast. top to
We'll
bottom.
see. After your rant, I'm going to see if I can name them.
It's bad. It's really bad. I know that, like, your Dream Drop is Sora and Riku's game, but, like, glass fucking ceiling, where's Kairi's game? You know?
Yeah, I think the Aqua Monkey broke it.
Aqua's not enough. Aqua's my favorite, and it's just not enough, you know?
Yeah.
The worlds have, like, 1 or 2 women in them, and it's like, why is it like this? Where are the women? You know,
Where'd you put the women, Nomura?
It's not fair. It's not parody. It's dumb.
Well, that was your time. Leah, let's go through this.
Sure.
I can think of Shiki, Rhyme,
Mhm.
Esmeralda, Blue
Mhm.
Fairy,
Mhm.
Korra.
Mhm.
That's 5. Minnie, I suppose, in
Mhm.
both the Country of the Musketeers and the Disney Castle
I count that as one
portions.
character, but I
We'll count
can
that as one.
understand why you would say it would be 2.
Maleficent
Mhm.
for 7. I mean, and then you have Kairi, Aqua, Shion, but what do they get? A line?
Aqua has 1 line. Shion has 1 line. Kairi does not speak. Naminé does not
Kairi
speak.
does not speak.
No.
So if we do count Shion and Aqua, that gets us to 9.
Mhm.
Am I missing anybody? No good fairies.
I don't think you said Laverne.
I did forget Laverne.
Ursula.
Yep. Which I love that, by the way.
I do too. It doesn't make any sense.
What a
but I
weird
love it.
fucking thing. Yeah, I mean, like, if you think about it for even a little bit, it's so bad. But, like,
yeah,
just having shit like that
in our 20-minute
like
love fest.
Yeah, you're right. But could you imagine if, like, shit like that was infused into a KH3, or just like villains showing up outside of their world, like kind of how they did in 1, at least in Hollow Bastion. But like Ursula and Destiny Islands, that's fucking crazy.
It was great, and the game throws you into it too. Like, what a fun time!
And it makes you think that maybe the rest of the game could have stuff like that. Who does this?
Well, Julius is in it, and that's another.
Yeah.
You know,
that is a really cool deep pull. Yeah. I love a deep pull like that, because I mean, it's either people get really excited about something that they thought only they were a fan of, or someone learned something new about the animation industry. Yeah. I didn't know about fucking Runaway Brain, so it was a neat little thing to learn.
You weren't born yet, I don't think.
No, I think it was the year before I was born.
And there's a female announcer, I think, in Tron. If you want to get
like the light cycle
about it.
Yeah, cut us off from one of those comments.
Yeah.
Speaking of, do we have like anything we want to pull from the mailbag?
We got some good questions. I think something I'll run it by you right now.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of things that we've gotten are thought experiments. Like, they're not asking us questions, they're asking us to consider something.
Sure.
There was a question about Kingdom Hearts 2 and its Disney worlds. Which was our first email from Joel Davis. It says, "Hello, No Sad
Joel.
Faces podcast. No Sad Face, singular, Joel.
Only one. We share one big face.
My question for you today could honestly be an entire podcast topic. We'll see. I wanted to ask a bit of a creative writing question regarding Kingdom Hearts. As Pat pointed out, the Disney worlds of Kingdom Hearts 2 don't integrate as well into the overarching narrative as they do in Kingdom Hearts 1 or even Kingdom Hearts 3. So here's my question. If you were a writer on Kingdom Hearts 2 and were in charge of how the Disney World stories unfolded, what would you change to make them feel more integral to the main plot? There's one caveat. You can't change which world Sora visits in Kingdom Hearts 2. They have to remain the same. I'm always curious to hear what you would change if given the chance to rework some of the Disney worlds and the storytelling. Love this podcast. Joel Davis. P.S. Pat's Disney Worlds video is one of my favorite Kingdom Hearts YouTube videos. Fucking Pat wank. I'm not finishing that.
You could have just cut that off. I don't have access to the email. Never would have had to known.
I think it's funnier if I'm curmudgeon about it, if I'm being honest. But thank you, Joel. You inspired Joel's fanfic, is what the rest of it said.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
I would need like days to really think about this carefully, but I think the quickest, like, let's slap a Band-Aid on this to get things, more functional.
Yeah.
Just have like more organization visits, more shit like Zaldan, Beast Castle.
Mm-hmm.
That is the best instance of integration outside of Space Paranoids, which really ties into like the Ansem and Hollow Bastion stuff.
I'll try to make this quick. I actually don't have a problem with the Disney worlds in Kingdom Hearts 2. I actually think it's a very good selection. Something that I have brought up in the past, and Pat has also brought up in his videos that we agree on, is that a major theme in Kingdom Hearts 2 is duality, having multiple aspects of your personality and multiple facets of who you are, both positive and negative. And all of the worlds in Kingdom Hearts 2 inherently have that as a plot point in them, but Kingdom Hearts 2 does not do a good job of capitalizing on that plot point. So for me, what I would do is I would make more of an effort in the story to show the parallel between Sora, Roxas, Riku, Ansem, like those dualities, and what the Disney characters are going through.
Yeah. You think about a moment like in KH3 with like Sora seeing HPO and being Roxas on the bridge in San Fran. Like stuff like that, just like little moments like that sprinkled throughout, it would, I think, drive things much further along in the way that I would want to see it.
Our next question is from Launchpad,
McQuack?
Well, Launchpad, who I babysat for years at KH Insider.
Oh, right.
This is his email, and I'm going to read it in his voice.
Hi, I'm a 9-year-old child who listens to your podcast. I'm 9 and I listen to it while I commute on my tricycle. And sometimes the bad words cause me to get into an accident. If Terra, Ven, and Aqua had their own Disney companions they had traveled with in BBS, who would be best for each? Please limit yourself to one.
Did you editorialize the email at all, or was it just? I will send you a
screenshot. That is verbatim what it says.
I've never heard that voice. I'm a man that does a lot of voices on Twitch. I've never heard this side of PJ. I had no idea.
I would be lying if I said that I didn't base it off of Trixie Mattel's voice when she does her chime reads.
Gotcha.
She reads them as a little girl, and that's what I was channeling for that.
So we're gonna pick like sort of like a Mickey, like Riku Mickey situation.
That's the question. Yes, that's exactly what it's asking. But here's my question: are we picking Disney characters that have not been in the lineup with party members before, or are we just doing like, oh well, Ven gets Mickey or Aqua gets Mickey, or you know what I mean? I don't know.
I'm just gonna go fucking off the wall here. I want to give Ven Figment.
Oh, I love that.
Because Figment's like an imaginary creature. Ven's got the tie-in with Dream Eaters from being.
I think Figment is a Dream Eater. Confirmed. I'm going to confirm.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Who could match like Aqua's energy? I kind of want them all to be like not human. You know what I mean? Like I don't want them.
Right.
I don't want Terra walking around with like Prince Philip.
Like Salt and Pepper Shaker, or do you want them to be like just fucking wild in contrast?
I think either or. I think I just want like. I probably just want it to be like a fucked up little creature, if doable.
I kind of think Stitch would be good for
one of them, but I just don't know like who. Like I think Stitch would be best for Ven.
Ven can't have everybody, Pat.
Right, I know.
I actually think that Stitch would either be better for Aqua or for Terra, because for Terra it would be like you can learn from your mistakes and you don't have to be bad, and they can go on that journey together. Or for Aqua, it could be Law and Order versus Chaos. So I think he goes with one of them.
Yeah, That actually makes sense. I was just kind of going based on like vibes, both being just like young lads, you know.
Well,
but I like that a lot. I like the contrast there.
I kind of like the idea of coupling Terra with a woman. Maybe Terra and Minnie. Minnie gets paired with Kyrie a lot, and I don't like it.
Yeah,
but I like the dynamic of Terra and Minnie. I think Figment. Yeah, no. Figment for Ven, Stitch for
Stitch,
Aqua, and Minnie for Terra for me.
I like that.
What a weird set.
Send it.
But yeah. One more? Can I do one more?
Yeah, let's do one more.
Silver Jackler says, out of all of the Organization 13 weapons besides the Keyblade, which is your favorite, and which would you want to use? Personally, I've always found Zigbar's aeroguns to be cool, especially the way that he uses them in tandem with his space powers. That's Silver speaking. That's not my opinion. So,
I like that. Also, shout out to Silver Jackler, a mainstay on the Twitch. I do like Zigbar's, and I do think there's a lot of fun synergy there with his element. I don't feel like as evident with a lot of the other characters. Because it's like, okay, Axel, like I love the chakrams as a design. I love the throwable aspect there. But it's like, okay, we're just lighting him on fire, you know? I think purely design wise, I would go with Axel's chakrams, but I think the aeroguns are also up there for me.
Well, in terms of like what my favorite is, the ridiculous of Demex's sitar is good. I love it when Kingdom Hearts does ridiculous shit. Which is why you'll never hear me saying like something is over designed or whatever, because I just love it when it's ridiculous. And the idea of this little rock star with his sitar is so funny to me. In terms of what I would actually use though, thinking about myself, my personality, my skill set, I guess Zexian's lexicon would be what I be the most comfortable using. Because I'm the only person in the Kingdom Hearts fandom who can read. So I think...
Right, you're like the source of all knowledge. So you just let us know whatever the book
That's
says.
Unfortunate. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
There's so many things I don't know. Well, yeah. Thank you guys so much for your questions. Mailbox is open. And like I said, we can't get to everything. And sometimes we cover the stuff that you ask us anyway. So hopefully that will appease your appetites.
But this was great. I loved this.
Good time.
I feel like our palate is cleansed after any misgivings we had. I do like the idea of having this ritual where we kind of read nice stuff at the end.
Well, I'm so glad that you said that because the next episode is the Key Saga.
Oh, it is? Oh, yeah. I forgot.
Yep. That's where we are, baby.
Okay. Oh boy, I gotta study. Like I have to learn how I feel about any of this. Oh boy,
it's complicated. It's definitely complicated. But let's save it for then.
Yeah,
cool.
Sounds good to me.
Well, thank you for listening to another episode of No Sad Face. Or if this is your first time, welcome. We try to post every 2 weeks. So far, we've been hitting it, but we are getting closer and closer to the line.
Yep.
Huge shout out, of course, to David, who edits all of our video. And he does a little bit of work with the audio, and he does the music, and he's just great. Shout out to Esperoba, our talented artist, who does all the art for the podcast. You can find their links as well as ours and other episodes and any other updates on nosadface.com. It has everything you need. Also, you can send us an email at nosadfacepodcast@gmail.com. We will try to get to your questions at the end of every episode. So, yeah, write us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Also, we watched Mrs. Doubtfire the other day in Requiem.
I missed it.
We got to get you on that train.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Missing out.
I mean, there is some transphobia.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like that aspect of it probably didn't age the best.
Parts of it did. Parts of it did not.
Who owns Mrs. Doubtfire? Can we see this?
I think Disney.
4? Okay. I mean, there's no better way to honor the memory of Robin Williams.
Maybe it's Fox, but either way, it's Disney.
Yeah, it's Disney now. Listen, maybe we're looking at Mrs. Doubtfire a couple of years.
You summon her and her tits just explode in fire. Oh, no! We can't have 2 cold opens about fucking Mrs. Doubtfire in a row. But I think
it'd be funny if every cold open from now on was about Mrs. Doubtfire, and I'm going to put off seeing it for as long as possible.
No!